Welcome to Bakes and Blenders. Today we're going to be making these fantastic chocolate and honey cupcakes. It all starts with a honey cupcake topped with a swirl of chocolate and honey buttercream, and then we're going to finish it off with some homemade honeycomb. To prepare my cupcake pan, I'm just putting a little bit of dried rice in the bottom of each cavity and then lining them with paper cases. Set that aside. Sift together your all-purpose flour, cake flour, dried buttermilk, and baking powder and salt. Whisk to combine and set aside. Add your butter, sugar, and cake enhancer if you're using it to the bowl of your stand mixer. We're going to cream these ingredients until they are nice, light, and fluffy, which will take about 5 to 8 minutes. You'll find the recipes used in this video in the description box below. Once everything comes together, I like to stop my mixer, scrape the bowl down, and continue beating. And you will want to scrape your bowl down 1 or 2 more times during this creaming process. Once your butter and sugar are nice, light, and fluffy, we're going to add the honey and the vanilla, and then we're going to beat again until combined about 30 seconds up to a minute. Now, the recipe for these honey cupcakes is based off of my salted caramel cake recipe, which is absolutely fantastic. If you'd like to see that recipe, check out the link up above, and I'll put one down below in the description box below. Scrape your bowl down again, and now we're going to add the eggs one at a time. Well, normally I would do one at a time. Somehow I managed to add almost all the egg whites in the first addition, and then I just did the yolks in the second. It was weird. I don't know. After each addition of egg, you want to make sure to mix thoroughly until the fats and the liquids are combined. This is why I love using the cake enhancer from King Arthur Baking. I'm not paid to say that, I just really love it because it helps this mixture emulsify so much quicker, so much easier, and it's going to give you a much better texture in your cake. Now, while the eggs are mixing into your butter sugar mixture, go ahead and add the oil to your water and set that aside. We'll need that soon. We're going to alternate between adding our dry ingredients and our wet ingredients. It'll be 3 additions of dry, 2 of wet. So go ahead and add a third of your dry ingredients and mix on low until just barely combined. Then you can drizzle in half of your liquid. Give the liquid just a second or 2 to combine before you stop your mixer, scrape down your bowl, and repeat with your second addition of flour. Beat until just combined, then the rest of your liquid, let it combine for just a second, scrape your bowl down, and then you'll add your third and last addition of dry ingredients. With that last addition of dry ingredients, you want to mix until almost combined, and then I like to switch to a spatula and just finish it off by hand to make sure I'm getting all the ingredients from the bottom, that everything is well incorporated but not overmixed. Now you can divide your batter among your cupcake pans. Now I like to use a scoop to make sure every single one is going to be the same size. You can find links to the products that I've used in the description box below this video. This recipe makes enough batter for 16 cupcakes, so you will need more than just one pan. Bake your honey cupcakes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 to 22 minutes, or until they spring back when you poke them on top and a skewer comes out clean. Then make sure they cool completely before you frost them. Let's get started making our hybrid buttercream. Combine 10 ounces of your sifted powdered sugar with the pasteurized egg whites. Those are the egg whites out of a carton that are safe to eat raw. With a whisk attachment, you're going to whip these 2 ingredients together until they're well combined, about 4 minutes or so. If you have powdered sugar that gets stuck on the side of the bowl that isn't incorporating after a minute or so, go ahead and pause your machine, scrape it down, and continue whipping. Once the egg white mixture is well combined and thickened a bit, you can begin adding your softened butter a tablespoon at a time. The mixture is going to look a bit curdled, lumpy, and gross at first, but keep adding your butter slowly, 1 tablespoon at a time, and it will eventually come together. Now, I call this hybrid buttercream because it starts off like a mock Swiss meringue buttercream, but it finishes like an American buttercream, and it kind of gives you a little bit of both types of frosting. It's less sweet than American buttercream, but it's smoother, creamier, but not as buttery as a true meringue-based buttercream. Once you've finished adding all of your butter to the bowl and it's incorporated, go ahead and stop your machine, scrape your bowl down, and then you're going to whip this very buttery mixture on a medium-high speed until it's no longer curdled and it's nice, smooth, and fluffy. About 1 to 2 minutes should do it. Then you can scrape your bowl down, scrape everything off the whisk attachment, and switch to a paddle attachment. Now it's almost like we're doing the American buttercream part. So now we're going to beat our super buttery mixture until it's light and fluffy, about 4 minutes, give or take. Scrape your bowl down and then add half of the remaining powdered sugar to your bowl. Cover with a clean tea towel so there's not an explosion, and then mix on low speed until just combined. Then you can increase the speed a little bit more and mix until it is further combined and starting to become light and fluffy, about another minute or 2. Then you can scrape the bowl down again and add your remaining powdered sugar and repeat the process until it is combined. Scoop out about half of your buttercream and set aside. To what's left in your bowl, we're going to add our honey and some food coloring. For the color, I mixed a smidge of Autumn Gold Sugar Art Master Elite powder color with just a little bit of water, and I ended up using about half of that here, and then I wanted to brighten up the yellow a bit, so as I mixed, I added a drop of yellow gel color, just a bit at a time, until I was happy with the color. Taste your buttercream and adjust the flavors as necessary. You can add more honey, or if it's too sweet, you can add a little bit of salt, just a little pinch, to cut the sweetness. Then you can transfer it to another bowl, cover it, set it aside, and we're going to get started on our chocolate buttercream. Take the other half of your buttercream and add some cocoa powder to it. I like to add cocoa powder just a tablespoon at a time, beating well after each addition. I only used 2 tablespoons in this batch, but if you want a more chocolatey buttercream, it's perfectly fine if you want to add more. Just add a little bit at a time, taste as you go until you're happy with the flavor, color, and consistency of your buttercream. I also did add most of the remaining Autumn Gold liquid that I had left over. Since it has kind of a browny yellow color to it, I thought it would help bring out the color of the chocolate buttercream and just bring it all together. Plus, why waste it? I wasn't going to use it otherwise. Now you've got your honey and your chocolate hybrid buttercream good to go. If you're not using it right away, just cover it and place it in the fridge. For the honeycomb, you want to start by preparing your pan. I'm lining an 8x8 pan with parchment paper. The baking spray helps the paper stay in place. You could use a different size pan if you want a thinner honeycomb. It's up to you. Set the pan aside and we can get started on the honeycomb. In a medium saucepan, combine your sugar, light corn syrup, honey, and water. Then give that a good stir until it is all thoroughly combined. Now this pot might look a little big for it, but as we cook it, it will bubble up a bit, so make sure you have plenty of space in your pot. Place your honey mixture on the stove top over a medium heat. Add your candy thermometer to the pot, and you're going to cook this mixture without stirring it until it hits between 290 and 300 degrees Fahrenheit. It will be a lovely deep amber and smell incredible. As soon as you hit the correct temperature, remove the candy thermometer and take the pot off the heat. Add your baking soda and whisk until that's well combined, and immediately pour that mixture into your prepared pan. Now, I don't suggest filming while you make honeycomb, because in the little second it took to turn on the camera, my honeycomb did go a little over 300, so it's a little darker than I wanted, but it still tasted good. Don't try to smooth out that honeycomb at all. Just let it sit in your pan until it is nice and cool. This should take 30 minutes to an hour, and you don't want to let it sit much longer than that because the humidity in the air will eventually make it soft. Once the honeycomb is all set up, you can remove it from the pan and put it on a cutting board and chop it, or use your hands to break it up into large or small chunks. Now, I'm wearing food prep gloves so that I can easily handle the honeycomb without it sticking to my fingers, but you don't need to wear these. Store your honeycomb in an airtight container until you're ready to top your cupcakes. If you're enjoying this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so you can see more of my videos. Time to assemble our chocolate and honey cupcakes. To create our two-tone buttercream swirl, I am lining a piece of cling wrap with a thick old strip of honey buttercream. Then I'm doing a slightly smaller strip of chocolate buttercream, just because I would prefer this to be more honey forward, but this is your cupcake. You can certainly do this however you'd like. Roll the cling wrap up, use it to lift the buttercream towards you, and create kind of a sausage roll of buttercream so that it is nice and tightly packaged. Then you can snip off one end of the cling wrap so that the buttercream will be coming out that end, and we're going to transfer this to our prepared piping bag. I'm using the Ateco 888 piping tip. It's my favorite for cupcakes. To assemble the chocolate and honey cupcakes, you want to take one of your honey cupcakes and just pipe a nice thick swirl of buttercream on top. Then where you left that tail of buttercream at the very end, you can sprinkle pieces of honeycomb over that to add some flavor and crunch. Now you want to make sure you don't put the honeycomb on your cupcakes until you're just about ready to serve them, because after a few hours the honeycomb will melt, and if you leave these cupcakes in your fridge overnight, I can guarantee you from experience that that honeycomb will end up looking a bit like a caramel sauce, but it'll still be delicious. These chocolate honey cupcakes are incredible. That honey cupcake is so soft and moist and delicious. And then it's topped with that yummy honey buttercream that tastes just like honey, with a little touch of chocolate buttercream in there. And then it's topped off with that little bit of crunchy homemade honeycomb. An absolutely fantastic combination. Thanks for watching this video today. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more of my baking and decorating videos, make sure to check out the video on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy baking!